Can you tell me where the coffee shop is?
Good thing. Oh, good, how you doing? And the go on now.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Bart. Okay, we have another label as well, deaf. Well, if I'm deaf, maybe I should label you as hearing people. All right, a few facts about my life. I wasn't born deaf, but when I was a year and a half old, I got meningitis, after which I was deaf. Which is one of the many ways in which you can become deaf. You can be born deaf, you can become deaf through an accident, because of old age. And this is how much I hear. 0.0 and many more zeros %. And yet I move in a world full of vibrations and sounds, and this is what sound waves do to me. They somehow do enter my ear, but they exit through the other ear. And they drop on the ground and they break. No effect on me. How many deaf people are there in Holland? Well, roughly it should be about 16,000. 1 in every 1,000 people is deaf. Okay? You probably have wondered, how do deaf people ever get up in the morning? Well, if I want to get up at 8 o'clock sharp, I have this little vibrating machine that shakes my whole mattress. And at 8 o'clock sharp, my whole mattress will start shaking, my pillows will start shaking, and I get up on time. And there's other aids I use. Yes, I do have a mobile phone. Do I use it to talk into? No. No points. But I use it to communicate in other ways. I can send emails, SMSs, photos, films. I use it to chat. Any other helpful devices? Yes, this is vital. Light. Very grateful for the light here. It allows me to see you. Thanks to light, I see colors, forms, emotions. Light allows me to see. And in order to perceive the light, I need my eyes, right? To scan the world, to get information. By the way, you may or may not be aware of it, but of all human communication, let's say optimal communication is 100%. 93% is non-verbal. Only 7% is language, spoken language. And it's that 93% that deaf people use, capitalize on, have cultivated. So I use light to see with my eyes, through my glasses. I don't use my voice because I don't hear my own voice. So for me, I use my hands. Without my hands, I wouldn't be able to communicate. Makes sense. But then, you don't see my mouth move right now, but you still hear me. Well, one of the things I use is a sign language interpreter. Somebody who's really made a big study, has a diploma, and can be asked to facilitate communication between me and hearing people, and the other way around, of course. So, I don't hear, and many people think that, of course, I still have 4 senses left, right? You think of yourself as having 5 senses and me 4 senses. 4 sounds less than 5. But it's not true. I'm as fully developed. All my senses have developed. I see better, I smell better, I taste better, and I feel better than most of you guys. But life of a deaf person doesn't always go over roses. I'm watching this wonderful television program and I feel this big green thing in my nose. We're all human, right? So I stick my finger up my nose, pull something out, and want to have a look at it. And by that time, I missed the essential scene of that beautiful film I was watching. So yes, you watch some things, you miss other things. But that's a matter of choice. Can we say everything with our hands? Yes. Sign language is not just the hands, it's the facial expressions, look at me, it's the body. There are different ways we can communicate. And I've just captured a few elements. Vocabulary, three-dimensional expressions, body language, it's a tool, but it's most of all, it's a three-dimensional language. 3D. You hearing people do not have three-dimensional languages, or at least you don't use them, the 3Ds. And just to further expand on the idea of 3 dimensions, just look at my signing. Suppose I'm driving this car, as you can see. This illustration, I'll sign like this. You can see how I'm holding the steering wheel, how I'm looking, you can see all of it. I'm turning on the lights, like this. And you can see if both of my lights are working, if I'm using the big lights or the small city lights. And you poor hearing people have to use so many words. I have to switch my light on. I can just express all that in one sign. And then I can tell you how I'm driving with just 2 hands. How fast I'm driving. Oh, a little too fast that was. And where did I learn sign language from? Well, in my life there have been 3 important sources. First of all, school. Yes, I did go to a deaf school. We have a couple of those in Holland, where the instruction took place in sign language. So where I could interact with my teachers in sign language. My parents learned sign language. They realized, as soon as they realized they had a deaf child, they took classes, took a workshop in science, and so I had full communication with my parents, with my family. My family consists still of all hearing people. So I grew up believing that if I were as big as they were, I'd be a hearing person too. Not true. But it wasn't until I met adult deaf people, successful deaf people, that I realized, hey, there's big people in this world who don't hear either. I'm going to stay deaf all my life. That actually helped me accept the fact that I'm deaf. Some of you may think, well, if you don't hear, there's doctors these days that can fix it. Just they have this little implant machine that can plug into your ear and you'll be a hearing person. But no. Thank you. It doesn't work that way. I have my language, I have my identity, I have my culture. Would I have to learn new languages, new cultures? The old Bart I knew would no longer be. All the aspects of my identity as I know it, I'd have to drop in order to become a hearing person and start with as a nobody. No way. So just fixing my ears will not make me a happier hearing person. You think deaf people can dance? Yes. I told you one of the senses is sense. You can feel vibrations, you can see, smell people dancing. And I've been at different festivals that smell differently. There are parties where we have smell jockeys accompanying different kinds of music with different smells. Do you think it's safe for deaf people to drive a motorbike? Well, let me tell you, as soon as you step on a motorbike, you're as deaf as I am. You are wearing this huge helmet. The wind will deafen you. You have the sound of the motor. And the wind. you will not hear somebody when your name is being called. And just like hearing people, we have these rear-view mirrors where we can see behind. We used to see in front of us and behind us. I told you there's a few other ways in which life is different. Hearing people have jokes that end with a point. Visual people have a different sense of humor. You use the third dimensions, the 3 dimensions, and the full story is funny. The full story is the point. Different. Do deaf people have a future? I think so. We have a different communication form. We use the 93% that many hearing people do not fully use. We're not bothered by words, sounds. We can become pilots. We have just different ways. So I'm very happy to share some of my 93% and exchange it with you. Is sign language only for deaf people? No. Whoever wants can learn sign language. You don't have to make yourself deaf in order to be allowed to use sign language. Really. It's allowed. The theme of this event, ideas worth spreading. Now, how is that signed? I think my presentation convinced you that it's one of the ideas worth spreading is to learn sign language. You'll use your sight better. You don't need to use the whole sign language as a language, but you can use communication without voice, without sound. And why do I emphasize the fact that you can learn it? Maybe you haven't learned, or maybe you weren't aware, maybe you don't know. You all have bodies. And you can use your bodies, and your bodies will actually bother you. When you're hungry, when you're thirsty, when you're late, you want to call your wife and say, "You're sorry, I'm late." And you're annoyed, and this other car pulls over in front of you, and you say, "Come on, get out of the way." You use your body. You use gestures, right? Or you're standing at a meeting, in front of a big meeting, bosses telling their employees what to do. You don't have to use your voice. You can use your body. You can get up and use your body to express yourself. Body language, sign language, you can express your emotions, facial expressions, without having to use your voice. All babies, when born, are being talked to. They don't answer yet, initially. Their eyes aren't very focused yet, and their brains are very visual. Actually, vision is the first sense that babies perceive the world through. Hearing and deaf children start gesturing before they start speaking. Why don't parents, you parents, use gestures, use signs with your baby to open up the visual channel, to wire that brain, and you have 4 or 5 months of communications again with your baby before your baby starts speaking. You can have 4 or 5 months more interaction with your kid. Or, well, you've probably seen this, you go on holidays, you booked this plane to France, this beautiful country, beautiful city, great food, beautiful women too, great wine, but you see something in the shop and you don't speak French. A very simple solution for you.
Thank you.
Windows, you stand on this side and the other person standing on the other side. You can't talk to each other. Underwater, you're diving, another place where you could use your body language. Noisy environments, in wars, noisy buildings, the drill in the streets. Noisy environments, why don't you just use our vision to communicate? Let's communicate better. 93% non-visual, non-verbal communication, 7% verbal communication. Why don't we use our power to make choices? Visual communication, on some occasions, verbal communication. Let's say for others. This and a few other ideas I shared with you, I hope you'll find worth spreading. May they spread all over the world. Thank you all.